What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to The Big Thing. It's Wednesday. A little bit of a different episode here today. We're not going to do Star Wars heavy stuff today, and Mike and Steph are not here. I think Mike's in Comic-Con. Steph might actually, Yas Queen, might be going to Comic-Con also. So it's me and Brett Sheridan here today to do a non-spoiler review of Christopher Nolan's latest Oppenheimer. Do not worry, we're not going to spoil it. Hence, in the title, it says non-spoiler. We'll get into that, and we'll talk about as much as we can. It'll probably be a shorter episode, but nonetheless, we're excited to get into it, and we'll talk about a few other things. So basically, it's still the SAG strike looming. What's it going to do for Comic-Con in general? What's it going to do for the business overall? Brett and I will discuss that. And I think that's really the juice of the episode, if you will. Now, if you haven't already gone to the website, thekristianharloff.com, check out Capes and Cows issue 1. Please go and check that out. We are going to be in San Diego this weekend. Myself, Brett, and obviously Katie Sackhoff for her show, the live episode of Blah, Blah, Blah with Katie Sackhoff. And I just got some really great news. In the Spotify charts, we're number 33 in TV and film already in the Blah, Blah, Blah show. So, all right, let's get into it. It's myself and Brett Sheridan here today on the show. Let's do it. Welcome back, everybody. The Big Thing on July 19th, the year of our Lord. Let me say that. What up, Brett? How you doing?
Well, I just, before we get in the spoiler review, you've been suspiciously silent about Wes Anderson's Asteroid City. Haven't reviewed that one yet, have you?
I have not. It's very curious that I have not interviewed.
Curiouser and curiouser.
Curiouser and curiouser. I have not had a chance to talk about that movie.
Asteroid City.
I have not had an opportunity to, and I have not spoken about that animated film that bombed. I have not an opportunity to see the blackening. I have not an opportunity to see Elemental. I have not had that opportunity. I've not had a chance to see it. So there must be.
Perhaps your opinions are a bit skewed.
It must mean something. It must mean something that I haven't seen these animated films, and I have not seen a few movies. And I will letting the elephant out of the not subtle bag. No, I have not seen fucking Sound of Freedom yet, and I will see it. I'm gonna see it, but people keep saying, "How come you haven't seen it?" And the reason why, again, haven't seen Elemental, haven't seen The Blackening, haven't seen this. The way it works is, I don't go to the movies casually anymore. I don't fucking do it. I can't do it. It's hard for me to do because
It's hard for you to go to the ones you got to review.
It's hard for me to go in general for like regular screenings to people. Oh, just go and pay for it. On the weekends, I spend time with my family.
Yeah.
So I literally, when I'm crafting out, I send my schedule to my wife, and I'm like, okay, so on Wednesday I have this. It's got and I told somebody in the comment section, I said, well, I get invited to these screenings. By that, they say, okay, this is what is available to the critics, and Barbie and Oppenheimer. So I said, well, you get invited. You only see movies that you get invited to. Isn't that mean that your opinion is skewed? The fuck are you talking about? Yeah. It's like every critic's opinion is skewed because you get invited to a screening. Look, I got invited. I got invited to things that I don't like. They invite people who they want to see review it. It's not they're not giving you You get a massage on the way in.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's the work.
That's because I know what you do is based on what you do is you compile a bunch of movies and you compare them to each other to bring up your opinion on. So you won't just talk about I keep saying Oppenheimer.
It's funny that they actually say that in the movie.
Yeah. You're going to talk about that, but you're going to compare it to 5 other films that are totally different genres, right? That's how you review.
No.
Oh, no.
That's not how it works.
Oh, that's okay.
No, that's okay. No, it's okay.
Sorry, I always thought that's how that.
But it's funny because like people will tell you inside of that the whole thing, because there's like obviously with Sound of Freedom there is a thing that it's in. There's 2 sides of it. One, it should be talked about because it's the number like 2 or 3 movie, and a lot of people are going to see it. And then there are some people who see there's clearly people who have like a political agenda. There are people who want you because it's also it's covering a very important subject matter also, but there's people who just go who do that stupid fucking political thing. If you don't see it, it means that you are one of the bad people. It's like, no, motherfucker, I didn't have a chance to see it yet because I don't get to the movies often unless I'm getting, okay, well, there's a screening. And that production company didn't send me a fucking thing. I didn't turn it back and say, no, I'm not going to see this movie. I never got the invite to go see the fucking screening, and I map out my schedule. So I might, because I want to I do want to see the movie. I want to see.
Well, you do check out stuff after it comes. Like things that you didn't get invites to, I know for a fact you watch after the fact, like when it comes out for free.
Yeah, or if it's on streaming, everything too, and they'll check it out and they'll talk about this show. And let's say, you're avoiding talking about it. Stop saying that unless you watch all my shows, because I've talked about this fucking thing so many different times.
You're a restaurant critic and you don't go pay for food places?
Right, but I mean, that's the thing. Look, it's not that I don't go out. Like, I'll take my kids. Normally, what I do is I'll if there's a movie that I want to take my kids to, like I saw Super Mario Brothers for a screening, and then my kids wanted to see it, so that one, like I went and took my kids to see it. But again, that was like an event to get out of the house and do these things too. So the answer to the question is, before you write it 7 billion fucking times in the thing. If you write to the production company, if they send me a fucking screener, if they send me a screening link or whatever too, I'll definitely check it out. I might get an opportunity to try to figure out when I can get out of the fucking house and go see it in the theater. There's a list of movies that I haven't seen. That one, Elemental, The Blackening, Insidious, Red Door. Insidious, Red Door, I never got a screening, so I didn't go. Blackening, I never got a screening, didn't go. Elemental, I did, couldn't make it. So it's because I reviewed Barbie the other day.
Oh, yeah.
You review this, but you don't see Sons of Freedom? And it's like, well, I didn't. That was Stallone, by the way. But I didn't. But yeah, Warner Brothers said, do you want to hear this? And it's not directly to me. They send it out to like the all media.
Yeah.
It's not like directly, when I say I get a screening, it doesn't come just to me. It comes to a bunch of reviewers and critics and goes, this is when this screening is. RSVP if you want to go. I never got that for those other movies. No. If they don't just send it to me. That's why the person's like, do you think your opinion's skewed because you get invited to screenings? No, it's the fucking job. I've been doing it since 2010. People will say, like, I do think there is some merit to it, where when critics get invited to, whether it's, to me, it is celebrities and shit doesn't do anything, but when they get invited to like Rome, when you get invited to Rome and when you get invited to these things, do I think that they're telling you, hey, we're inviting you to Rome, give us a positive? No, I don't think that they're saying that. But I also think you're in fucking Rome, and you're in Hawaii, and you're in these places that you're like, whoa, this is cool, and it might maybe even subconsciously make you go, oh, this is a really fun experience. I'm having a good time. So I do think that there is a little bit of that inside of it, and I think that there was a movie, I won't say which one it was, but recently that I did not like, that before you saw it, they were like, oh yeah, here's a ticket for 2 free cocktails. and it wasn't them going, give the thing a good review. It's just going, hopefully you get fucking shithoused and you get a little buzz going on and that you like them. And it didn't work on me. Yeah. It's not to say
it would have worked if I would have gone to go to Greece for Mamma Mia 2. I would have given that 100,000 stars. That would have worked on me.
But that's my point. That's my point. Is that it's like, so I understand when certain people will write comments. You don't think you can get skewed when it comes to situations like that. I don't think that it's like a matter of them going, hey, we're sending you here, so give it a good review. I think it's a matter of them psychologically going, hey, we're going to send these fuckers to Greece and we're going to do this, and hopefully they're feeling good. And I think, and they like the movie. They're always the hope that you like the movie. But no, when it comes to just going to a screening, you got to understand, I don't like leaving my fucking house. It took us last night an hour and like 10 minutes to get to where we're going, seeing an IMAX. And we get there, it was like Universal Studios. The gate guy was a douche, a fucking douche. And like when I pull up to the thing, and he's just like, "You have the parking pass?" And I'm like, no, I don't have it, but I have the email for this.
Not like confrontational.
No,
anyway.
I'm like, I have the email for the screening, and here it is. He's like, I can't let you in with that. I'm like, yeah, but I know, I got invited to the screening, and here's the thing. Is that cool? We're just going. He's like, I can't let you in. I'm like, all right, so do you need me to write the rep? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, I'll write the rep. So I'm writing the rep. He's like, park over there. I'm like, okay. And it's because, again, and I also said to myself in that moment, I think the guy, he might be maybe not having the best day.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I get it. So I pull over to the side, right to the rep sends the pass, and I just walk over. I give it to him. I go, all right, I said to the lady was awesome. Thanks for being kind, and we take off. So again, you don't want to give these people shit. They've been going through a fucking long day, but the guy was not being cool. So we get to the thing, we get to the IMAX, and like I said, we were able to go to this thing. It was exciting that we got a chance to see it in IMAX, but it's a drive. And this is your first IMAX movie.
Yeah. I've always been to tell you the truth, my biggest fear was even when I didn't wear glasses, I did not like to be super close to things. So I thought, oh shit, screen's bigger. I usually like to hover around the back row regardless. So but it was perfectly fine. I mean, where we were at, if we would have been any closer, sorry, Rocks, the seats you saved us were a little too close, but
she likes sitting close.
Oh yeah, that was our first fight as a friend date. When she took me to a screening, she's like, I go, I can't.
She loves sitting that close. I don't know how she does it.
For me, it's like a tennis match.
I can't do it. But we did get there. We sat with our buddy DJ Woolridge, and when we got there, it was packed already, you know. So and it's this massive screen. It was like, as people are gonna ask, is it real IMAX? This was real IMAX.
Yeah.
So
why do we know?
Because so here I'll tell you a couple of different reasons why we know. One of the reasons, well, we'll get into it in a second. But as we were talking to DJ, we're sitting down there, we had some seats, and I was nervous because even the seats that he got I felt going to be too close.
Yeah.
They weren't though; they were pretty great. And just a few more seats back is usually where I like to sit. But what was hilarious was we were talking about this last night. It was a packed theater, and it's a little condensed. And there was this guy who. He seemed like a nice enough guy, but just unaware of his surroundings. He gets up and he's talking to apparently somebody who worked on Tinkerbell or something. So this guy gets up and he's sitting there, and it's like, and it's me. I was sitting here, it was you, and then DJ, who's not a little guy. He's like 6'4", right? And
his knees hit the other row.
Yeah, and he's sitting, and and DJ, who's like the best guy in the world, is just sitting there, and there's like this pocket of 4 people who might as well have been sitting on DJ's lap, and they're talking right over DJ and just standing there. 15 minutes? Am I exaggerating?
No, it was probably 15, 20 minutes. It was from the minute we got there until, and we on top of that, you went to go get stuff.
Yeah,
we stood up 30 times to let people in and out and in and out of that row. I don't know. No other rows were getting this. We were in the row. It was the row everybody wanted to go.
It was like, I mean, I don't. But that one, it's like if you got to go to the bathroom and you get
ready. Their ball level to his face, like
yeah.
Like,
he's looking at balls.
It's like if he goes like this, it's like a ball and an ass.
100%. And he's listening to and the conversation is just right in his ear. And the movie wasn't starting yet, so it's like there's a hallway right there. Yeah. This isn't like one of those open things. You're right on top of this guy, right on top of him. They're just talking for like 15, 20 minutes, and DJ didn't complain once.
No,
he didn't complain. Didn't complain once. And I was like, come on, right? Like, what are we doing here? And then finally, as the movie's about to start, they come in, and the guy who starts this whole thing, everyone else like is moving into the row, and DJ's nice, just getting up. Moving. So then finally the guy who starts the whole committee goes to move, and DJ goes like this, and the guy stops, and he's still talking to somebody else, and DJ's like,
and I'm standing. I'm fully up at this point. I'm like, do I sit? Do I?
This guy's not even aware. He's got other people who need to like adjust their seats to let, and he's like, oh, I was thinking about that, and I liked what you did over there, and if we get a chance to, it's like, motherfucker, move. This poor guy is like folding into the seat.
And I think you introduced me once, but I got to actually talk to him before, and totally like this
He's the
guy,
best. Chill,
so chill, so like, but us knuckleheads were like, these fucking assholes.
Well, but I'm just like, come on. This guy, you know what he did, Brett? He showed no class.
No.
Not an ounce.
Not an ounce of class.
Not an ounce of class. It's like, come on. It's like, just be self-aware. Just be aware in that situation. Then the movie starts, and the real IMAX begins. And as it's starting, notice like there's like a little crack because it's real film. It's not digital. And there's like a little crack in the thing. I'm like, is that going to be an issue? and then it goes away.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, we're good. And
Just a
then
little dust on
yeah,
the...
and then the movie shuts off. It just shut off completely, and we're like, uh-oh. And Brett made me laugh so hard because this is a big IMAX theater, right? Packed. So they send in the Universal rep to come in, and she's on the other side of the theater. And she walks over to the other side of the theater, and she goes, Brett, you could do the impression.
Hey guys, I'm your problem. So we're going to give you the best parent. So, okay, thank you.
What?
Everybody's going, what?
And she just
What did you say? She goes,
doesn't even beelines it out the door.
her body language was, fuck this. And she left. She wanted nothing to do with doing that again. And
Can I get your attention? We're giving away $100,000 to anybody that can hear this.
and she's gone. So we all assumed something was going. She comes back again and basically says, like, look, there's a chance that we'll give you the 70 millimeter, I guess, digital footage of it. We don't want to do that. We want to show you this in the way it was intended in the film in IMAX. So bear with us. So sure as shit, they worked hard. We were also saying, we're picturing the poor projectionist just like, fuck! Like, film wrapped around his neck.
Still, he can't stop, but it's just...
No, it is. Here's just got people running in. Screaming, what's going on, Eddie? What's going on? He's like, fuck off! It's just hitting him in the face. Just smoke going everywhere. Nolan is in there, just like going like this. It was funny, but we're gonna get into the actual review of it in a second. But before I do, I want to tell you guys a little bit about AG1 before we move in, because that projectionist, a bunch of other people needed some energy getting into it. 3-hour movie, man. And let me tell you about AG1. Here we go, AG1. You guys know I love AG1. I've been talking about AG1 forever, and now you guys have been talking about AG1. Athletic Greens, man, they are the best. They're the best. I love them, and they've been with us for so long now, and it's because you guys keep getting them, and I keep getting more and more people saying how much you love them, and now it's just a part of your daily routine the same way it's part of my daily routine. I put it in a water bottle every morning. I shake it up. I'm good to go. It's the best. And since I've been taking it, I'm sure since you've been taking it, you feel healthier. You feel better. You get that energy. Why take a bunch of different things when you can just mix 1 scoop of powder in water once a day? That's it. AG1 was designed with ease in mind so you can live healthier and better without having to complicate your routine. I love it. I mean, I've been doing it if you've been listening to this show, I don't think that you have not heard me talk about it. You probably know about them because I've been telling you about them. So good. The best. It's delivered to me every month and very easy to make it a daily habit. And I get the single serving AG1 travel packs also, just in case I'm out on the road. I never have to miss a day. It's the best. If you want to take ownership of your health, try AG1. Get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. But you have to go to drinkag1.com/bigthing. That's drinkag1.com/bigthing. Check it out and tell me about it. All right. Thanks again to our friends over at Athletic Greens, AG1. Like I said, you help out the show tremendously. I cannot thank you guys enough. The episodes have been getting more and more views on them. The downloads have been going up, and you guys have been contributing to that so much with the likes and the comments and helping us in the algorithm and all that. And I get comments all the time, hey, I listen to this show all the time, and I want this to be the #1 show in the space. How do I help? If you're able to, get one of those sponsors. AG1 is a great one. People have been getting them with us for a while. They've been with us for a while, hence why they keep coming back, and hopefully you keep coming back. So use the link in the description and check it out. All right, let's get into this review. Again, non-spoiler review. Brett and I did our out of the theater review already, and it's close. I mean, by the time this airs, we might be close to a hundo already.
Wow.
It's crazy. I mean, people really want to see this movie, and it's the battle between Oppenheimer and Barbie, which I still don't think it's a battle as far as box office goes, and I think that Barbie will win the box office. I think that a movie, this one, I clearly, if you watch both my out of the theater reactions, this is more my speed. This was one of the best Nolan movies. I think I really do. I think that it's up there with. I was watching Kristi Lemire's out of the theater reaction. Kristi and Alonzo, both same channel, both saw it last night, I believe, and totally different pages. I watched Alonzo, as I talked about on the show, is one of my favorite human beings in the world. we have recently been on the opposite sides of every movie that I think we've seen. He loved Barbie. I didn't love it.
Yeah.
I loved this movie. He didn't like it. But it's why he's one of the best at what he does. He had I understood his points. I didn't agree with them, but I understood where he was coming from with his points in this film. But Kristian, on the other hand, called it one of Nolan's best since Inception. Inception's still my favorite Nolan movie. It's my favorite. And Dark Knight is up there too. I'd probably say Inception, Dark Knight, and then this one. That's probably the ones that I would go with.
Yeah, I'm Dark Knight. This one, Inception.
Yeah.
Dark Knight. Yeah, But again, you said give it another try. But I have shell shock from
Interstellar.
yeah.
Interstellar. It's like when I first saw it. Someone just said that in the comments the other day, and they were right. They said that when I first saw that movie, I wasn't high on it, and I watched it again. I actually would like to revisit that movie even again. I think it's pretty brilliant when you go and you watch it for a second time. The first time you don't really not know what to expect. Put subtitles on it. Watch it for a second time and see what you think, how you come out of it. Because I definitely, Tenet I did not see. Tenet I think is one of my least favorite Nolan movies.
I remember that was coming out pre-something that we don't. That was like a big thing about his first one where he said, you have to see this in the theater. And he was very adamant about a lot of people seeing this one in the theater, right? This wasn't, you're not getting screeners on, no.
Oh, this one? Yeah. No, on the screen. No, since the pandemic, you're not going to, they don't really send screeners anywhere. The Tenet for sure. Like, screening links, rather. Screenings, yes, obviously.
But that one got pushed and pushed and pushed, right? Because
Tenet?
Because
Tenet got
it was
pushed.
like I didn't realize that about him, but he was a big proponent of like, no, my films need to
Had
see.
to be. Yeah, it was one of the big fallouts that he had with Warner Bros. When he left and went to Universal.
That's right.
So yeah, this is, you can tell, it's first of all, there's so much to talk about that we can talk about in non-spoiler, and I don't think it'll be a problem at all, because the story, first of all, it's the true story of Robert J. Is it J. Robert Oppenheimer or Robert J. Oppenheimer? I always forget. Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Either way, Cillian Murphy, who does a brilliant job at playing him. You see him in his kind of younger life, but the way that the younger life, mid, older, the whole array of his lifetime and different things going on, from him being the father of the bomb, and then kind of what it took to get there in the first place. He didn't realize actually that he was the one who brought quantum physics over to America. Did you know that?
No, not at all. This was, and that's when you said, "Do you know anything about this?" And I will not tell you what I thought, because I was.
But it wasn't too far off.
It was a different time frame I was thinking, but
not really.
It definitely, like, this was historical, that I knew parts of the story, but I'm glad I learned this. And again, we talked about when you go home after a film like this, you look up what really happened, and I was too tired.
Yeah, I was tired too. Yeah.
But I will be going down that rabbit hole, because it was one that wanted me to learn more, and that I think that's that's a testament to a film too, if they want you to dig deeper.
Yeah, and the fact that it was 3 hours, I was like, is it going to be? And I do think you're going to see people that are going to come out of this movie and say this was boring. And if you're not like looking to really lock in to it, it's wordy at times. Mm-hmm. It is there's stuff that's happening as far as like I'll say hearings and things of that nature. And then the stuff that happened kind of leading up to the bombing in Japan, and the stuff that the aftermath of that, and then other events kind of linked towards that and linked towards the aftermath. And there's just a lot of detail that if you don't, what do you expect to see in this? Like, it's not, this is, if to me, what Nolan does, I think, masterfully, is the use of sound and music and editing, because there's a particular scene inside of one of the hearings where it could have just been a kind of wordy, boring scene, but instead is this music that bum 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 bum, and it's like, and there's a reason behind it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And they do that throughout it, and we both mentioned in our Out of Theater that there's a kind of an Oliver Stone JFK feel to it.
Yeah, when you said that, I was like, I was going to say that first. I thought I'd be the first one to say something intelligent, but no, I felt that. And again, maybe if you look back on JFK, maybe that one wasn't necessary. I haven't seen it in so long, but it was probably slowish.
It is. I love that movie. There's a lot more kind of fantasy elements in Oliver Stone's brain of some of the things that he made up through, but I do love that movie. But it's the storytelling and the way that he's able to he pieces back and Nolan, that is, pieces back and forth the younger Oppenheimer to the midlife Oppenheimer and how it all kind of plays, and then you're like, oh well, we're in this time period because it's shot like that.
Yeah.
And oh well, who's that character? Because that I said this to you as we were leaving. I said a lot of times these movies will be like, oh well, they have Bern Flerkenstein.
Yeah.
And like, who the fuck is Bern Flerkenstein? And then they show you, oh, like, that's who he was. He was the guy that he met and he talked to there, but it was just a brief shot, and they show you. And
It's perfect for old guys.
But
or anybody that has, like trouble keeping up with multiple characters. It would be nice, like in Game of Thrones, if they would do something like that every once in a while, where
Right.
you could see it, but different.
it's different.
Different.
But the benefit that this movie has is because the difference with Game of Thrones or whatever is that you've got 10 episodes, 10 hours. This is 3 hours, and this is the way from the second it opens, I'm telling my story this way.
Yeah.
And he even pieces together and it's like, it's like this thing that happens where a particular moment happens. You're like, oh, what did he say to that person? Well, don't worry, you'll find out.
Yeah, yeah.
And what about that? What does that mean? Don't worry, you'll find out. But just go on the adventure, go on the journey, find out this information. But it's also it's deep, obviously, from the subject matter and the things that are happening and the amount of chaos and destruction that ultimately happened because of that bombing and how that has an effect on someone's psyche who created it. And the reason why, because I said to you, well, why did they, in the first place, why would you even come up with something like this? And then the race against the Nazis and
Yeah,
the things
oh, yeah.
and the reason why. Then, but here's, because of the time period, how does that work? And then the idea of communism and how that fit into it. It's like, it's fascinating. Like if you're really interested in history and you're interested in the way that this guy, how brilliant he was and how there was the idea. There's one particular, I'm going to talk about scientists, and it's just like, scientists do not like when you go up against what they're telling you. So you want to piss the scientists off, disagree with what they're telling you. Yeah.
And I want to touch on it before I forget it. What you were saying about the little moments thrown in there. There was this one we talked about afterwards that was kind of reoccurring. Like first you heard it just in sound, then you saw it visually, like stuff like that. But you didn't. You kind of started to piece together what you thought it was, and then you go, oh shit, it was that. Oh, that's amazing, because I remember seeing it a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here.
It's a puzzle.
The audio throughout it. I mean, I'm not a soundtrack guy when it's not like songs that are popular songs and stuff, but I'd love to just like listen to this and brood.
Well, everything but everything is a character.
Yeah,
everything is a character. The sound is a character.
And to that point, I didn't know this about Tenet, that there was audio issues. There was no issue with me hearing what people were saying during this. Did you have any trouble?
Nolan typically has that thing. He likes to do sound a particular way that I remember it on the first time from like Dark Knight Rises. There was a big issue, especially like they showed the IMAX scene. Do you remember the Dark Knight Rises in the beginning when Tom Hardy's on the plane and they
yeah, there was a lot of tough stuff with that.
When they first released that scene, there was a major complaint by the audience that no one could hear it.
Yeah.
And so he had to go back in. He was pissed off about having to fix it, but like it's this thing that he's always done. There are a couple of times, but it's done purposefully where the sound overpowers the dialogue, but not in a way that it's like, wait, what? It's on purpose.
Yeah, it's definitely on purpose.
Yeah, and there's a few different
or the
ways.
Absence of sound is played with
That's
a lot,
right.
which is wonderful. I mean, like the one non-spoiler, but the one you told after we talked, I was like, yeah, it was like, oh,
yeah,
God.
This movie needs. There's going to be a lot of Academy Award stuff in this movie. A lot, from sound design, 100%. Score, and I believe it's Hans Zimmer. I think directing, I think lead performance from Cillian Murphy. This is one of his best performances, if not his best performance, of really telling you everything of it, because Oppenheimer is a very flawed person. From the beginning and the opening act of something that he does in one of his classrooms, that was like, oh, that's who this guy is, from the fact that he was a womanizer, but had various wives and did these things, but he also his conscious kind of, he self proclaimed, he was, I don't know, say narcissist, but he's definitely arrogant.
Yeah.
But he also had definitely had moral. He had moral dilemmas that you absolutely would and should.
That's
if
an
you're a human being.
understatement.
Right?
I
right.
mean, come on.
Yeah.
For what he was declared the father of the atomic bomb, and then like what happened after that. Yeah, this guy had some
Of course he
demons
did.
to struggle with.
Of course he did.
And that's what makes this interesting. Like if it's in terms of like you go. I hear a lot of, and I've done it myself, where I'm like, oh, I don't want to go see a film that I know the story and how it ends and whatever. Like, I don't know, Sully or something like that. Yo, he actually landed it, but and it's, I never saw that one, so I'm not comparing it. But what I'm saying is like this really is interesting in a historic way, and how accurate we don't know. We haven't deep dived yet, but it's interesting in Cillian Murphy and you see his struggle, and you see Oppenheimer's struggle.
Yeah, Oppenheimer.
You know what it is? There's a street, I think, or there's a building in Los Angeles called Oppenheimer.
Oh, is there?
Or I pronounce it
Probably
wrong
Oppenheimer.
forever. It's Oppenheimer. And when I did Finkelstein the other day,
Yeah.
I just started calling Lonnie Oppenheimer Finkelstein back in the day, just because I saw that, and that's where Finkelstein. I just remembered where that came from.
That was good.
Oppenheimer Finkelstein.
Finkelstein. But dive into some of the performances in this movie as well. As we mentioned, Cillian Murphy is next level. Emily Blunt, who plays one of his wives, and really his I think he's married twice, too, but his main wife for the majority of his, I think the mother of his 2 children. She again plays. They went in a different direction with her than I thought they were going to go with. Like I didn't know anything about his actual wife, so when they started, I was like, oh, he had to deal with that particular circumstance, and then they changed that up a bit, and I was like, oh, that's interesting, and how they had her in the role that Florence Pugh plays, and I think but this movie, what they do with performances, and I just mentioned 2 just A-list level actresses right there. There are tons of high quality actors that are in this movie, not for star power, even though there are a lot of big stars in this movie. But what they bring, there are some people in this movie that are in this movie for maybe 7 minutes, 8 minutes, but they have an impact.
Yeah.
And it's like, who's really good in this movie also, who I've never been, not that I'm not like that I'm not a fan, but I've never been like a massive fan of like Josh Hartnett. I've always been like, okay, Josh Hartnett is fine. He's a good looking dude. He's been in this, Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
He's fantastic in this movie.
Wonderful.
He's fantastic. Like Nolan's just able to do that. He brings there's so many different performances, and there's other people in this. I don't know if we know Matt Damon is in it, so Matt Damon obviously really good in the role. There's other people, I guess, if you go to IMDb, you can see who's in it, but I don't want to give away certain.
Yeah, because I think there is an element, and I wouldn't say this is a gripe. It's just something that I because the way it ended up but like there was a lot of like you'd see the back of somebody's head,
right,
and there was a lot of they turn you go, oh, it's so and so,
right,
and then you go, oh, were they just using that for effect? Maybe, I don't know, but then their performances, then you go like, you barely used blah 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 in this, like it's what?
There is a particular person that I know you're talking about that you're like, just like we'll just say an award-winning actor, and you're like, what's that?
Yeah,
what's their role? And then you're like, oh, I get it.
And still, even the big reveal is this big.
Right.
It's like it's so, and it's and what amazing thing for an actor too is just like to have that kind of impact on the story and have to do so little.
It's so interesting. It's like it's so little without, but still being so grand. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of those moments throughout the entire film. It's just paced. That's why I saw some people writing, "This is boring." I'm like, you're just not paying attention, in my opinion, because this is just a well paced story, and again, with not only the story itself, the dialogue, the character of it all, but the music and the sound was the thing I really noticed the most, because I felt that it could have been significantly boring and slow had it not been for these editorial choices. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why it really worked. I was just I was in awe of this film.
Yeah, and like you said, it was the balance. Sometimes the music, you go, oh, the soundtrack was so much better than
Right.
than the performances, but this was a little like they worked so well together, and without the other, I don't think they could have worked that well. It was amazing. Yeah.
I do. People are going to ask, do you recommend seeing it in IMAX?
No.
I do. If you can see it in IMAX, you should. And then people, I guess, and I didn't get a chance to see it in 70 millimeters, so I can't speak on that. And I have to, you have to check out the reviews of people who did see it.
So I'm confused by that. I thought
Don't ask me this question.
IMAX was 70 millimeter.
Don't ask me this question again. We got into a whole bunch of we pieced out a video of it the other day, and someone was just full of misinformation. And what I wanted to write back to that person is, "You are so right." I don't know enough about it. I don't know enough about it
Because I assumed that was the 70 millimeter meant big ass film, and so I'm like, oh, so you have to have some big ass film.
I don't want to talk about it. You guys figure it out and let the projections deal with it.
You call yourself?
Yeah, no, I don't. I don't. But either way,
But it was on film. We knew that for sure.
This was definitely on film. The one that the version that we saw, shot in IMAX.
Haven't experienced that since I was probably in junior high.
Film?
Like just a
it getting
complete
it going out. Yeah.
I was like, what?
I mean, it's funny though too. For a 3-hour movie, I would see this movie again. But like I said in the beginning of the show, it's hard for me to get to the movie theater if it's on a screening. And it's hard for me to get. There's no IMAX theater near me.
Yeah.
We have to drive like almost an hour to get there.
And if you can't, and you got beg, steal, or borrow, go to somebody's house that has a big screen and a bad stereo system. You know, I mean,
Nolan just woke up in a dead
always
sleep hearing you say that.
But we may not all have those systems at home.
Right.
But we all know people probably that might have one, or
I would like to, if I was going to see it again, I would like to see it just on another big screen.
Yeah.
I'll definitely
100%.
watch it. Once it hits streaming, I'm definitely going to watch it again. It's my favorite movie of the year so far. That and Air, those are the two that
of the multiple films I've seen this year.
But I mean, but it is, dude. I'm telling you, it was like
I was very happy that because I was this close. I was like, oh, I'm so fucking tired.
Yeah.
I don't want to, and I'm like, I've canceled on a few of them, and this one I was like, I thought I was. You saw me. I thought I was like this. On the way, beforehand,
on the way there, and I almost really knocked Brett out because on the way over, I started listening. I told you, if you guys listened to my episode on Monday, I have been down the rabbit hole on all the UFO stuff. I know you did. You tried to put your hat over your head like I wouldn't notice you falling asleep. This guy, I was like, it's interesting, right? I did one of these things. I was listening to the thing. I go, it's interesting, right? He goes, yeah. I was
just got back.
Listening to shit. Trying to pull the wife trick.
Well, I didn't have my shades either. It was hurting my eyes, so that even made it more of me. Like,
I was passing out though, man. Like I was tired. Like, but yeah, I'm fascinated with all this stuff. Riley and I were talking about it today. I think that we're gonna do because these hearings are coming up next week.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna do a show. Riley and I are gonna cover these hearings. For people who don't know, again, we talked about this on Monday. They're a lot of Chuck Schumer, Marco Rubio, a bunch of bipartisan group is going in and gonna go to having hearings to make UFO files from the last 60, 70 years public.
That's insane.
And now whether or not they approve it,
yeah,
I just think there's going to be so many people, because what happened was there was the UFO whistleblower. Did you hear the story? The UFO whistleblower, which I did not talk about too much with Ellis the other day, was essentially let me tell you the name to make sure that I get it right. But it's insane what he said, and he's the reason why they're really pushing forward these things. So David Grush,
who was more happy? The whistle.
What's that? The whistle? What are you talking about? What's that? Did I miss something?
Yeah, the whistleblower. Who had a bigger smile on his face? The whistle.
Yeah, it was good.
That's good.
That was good. That was good. But yeah, they basically what they had said with what
David Grush.
Yeah, what David Grush says is not only have they found various spacecraft, they have found bodies, and it wasn't just some wacko that said this.
Yeah.
So they were like, okay, this is enough is enough. What is out there?
Yeah.
And now that this has actually come out, there's only so much, because when you start doing there are still people. I was talking to DJ
Yeah.
last night about this, and I'm like, 'cause I'm fascinated by it now. And I saw some people writing in the comment section too. There's still like a kind of taboo thing about it. So like, there's a. I saw it. Somebody, you talking about UFOs, but you won't go see Stars of Freedom. I'm like, and I'm like, yeah, because it doesn't cost me money to go see it and go send me a fucking screening.
Yeah.
But don't worry, you fucking, I'll see it. But either way,
It's two different things.
I know, but the fact that all this, I've been talking to DJ about it, and I know there's this taboo thing about it still, and people, and this is what they talk about in this stuff. They talk about how, because it's just for years, if you bring it up, you're fucking wackadoo. And then the same thing with some of these pilots. They even said this guy, Ryan Graves, I think was one of the pilots who saw stuff, and he's like, look, there were so many pilots who saw this shit that were just like, I'm not risking my fucking career to talk about this shit. Fuck this. And he's like, nah, I'm talking about it. And now finally people are like, no, I'm talking about it. And this dude, I'm talking about it. And more people are talking about it. And it's like, there's just so many times you can go, well, that person's crazy.
Yeah.
There's other people who are going on shows and stuff talking about the shit that ain't writing books and they ain't getting paid for it. And it's so, I don't know. I'm very curious to see what these hearings are going to be. It's next week. And then Riley and I will be doing an episode, because people responded to it. And I saw some people saying, hey, look, if you cover it weekly, bi-weekly, I'll be watching, because I think there's episodes to be had about like the O'Hare incident that happened. I think there's episodes to be had about the stuff that happened in Arizona, the stuff that happened in Hudson, New York, this stuff. I mean, and that's 3 or 4 out of thousands of things. So
yeah, I'm not as into it as you, because I think you've gotten into it more. But I'm definitely, I will check out this documentary, and I'll probably be hooked. And you should
check it out. And you come and talk about it with us once you do. And then because of it, I got a lot of my buddy Attack Peter, who is in all this stuff as well. He and various others of you guys have told me about this other one that I'm going to check out, Moment of Contact, which is apparently even more convincing than the thing I watched, which we'll be into next, because Riley and I will be talking about all those things. So if you want to get involved in, especially now with the fact that we had these conversations, and I think Greg Alba did a great video the other day about people don't know in our space what you can and can't do with SAG right now, right? And so, I mean, I've had a few people reach out on our shows and be like, hey, so what are we talking about? Because I don't want to step on anyone's toes. I'm like, we're in the review and we're in the influencer space that we're not getting paid by the studios to cover this shit. No. So it's not a job. We can do it. It literally says that, but people are hesitant about it, right? And it's one of the reasons, even when I was talking with Mark, because Mark didn't really know. Mark's like, just to be said, I don't know what the fuck we can say and we can't. Is there anything I was like, actually, yes, I want to talk to you about this. Yeah. And he's like, let's do it. So that was our episode. And it maybe turned into this thing that we start covering that a little bit more. I'm cool with it. Audience seems to be interested in it. And then we can do things like this when we see the movie. Yeah. We do a little bit more of like kind of non-spoilers.
And the more people say that they're not sure about it, of course, I'm like, well, maybe it is. Even though I've read things and I've been told things, I'm like, well, maybe it isn't. My anxiousness.
I really want you to watch this thing. Watch this thing that I'm telling you. Like, it's far, because I know that you're talking about the sex stuff. But watch this thing so we can talk a little bit more. So we have stuff that we can go, because when you go into the what you cannot do, there was a thing on Hollywood Reporter or Variety that basically they released information that said if you're a critic, you're a reviewer, you do these things. It's like, we can't ask you not to do that. There was a weird thing that I saw, and I don't know. I mean, look, like I said, I am in SAG. I support SAG. Oh, yeah. I think so does Brett. I think that there's so much that the studios take advantage of, and it needs to stop. And the same thing, and I support the writers and support all that stuff too. The one thing that I did read that I didn't understand there was something that said, if you are non-SAG and you go to one of these Comic-Con things and you cosplay, that's fine. But if you are SAG, maybe don't do it. It's like dressing up. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's also you're talking to some of the people that if you get photographed in it, if there's someone who's recognizable, who's cosplays, and then it looks like they're promoting it. I get it. It's just, it's so tricky right now. It really is.
Oh yeah, and everybody is going to try to be on their best behavior and try to and Yeah, it's hard to understand. It's like reading, a stereo instructions for you or something like that.
You're using a new vacuum.
Yeah, using a new vacuum. I gotta tell this. I come in the other day, and their house vacuum is in the studio, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, wait, what happened? The other one break, and it's sitting right over here behind the couch.
Clear
like,
as day.
Yeah, and I'm like, I thought you didn't find it. I'm like, what? You couldn't find the other vacuum? And you said, and you go, nah, couldn't figure out how to use it.
No, I said I didn't want to figure it out. I said had nothing to do with couldn't. If I took it out and started looking at it, I didn't want to even attempt to try to figure out how to use it. I'm not going to look at there's new buttons. I know
the
I'm like my dad.
complexities of vacuums are so.
I'm like my dad though. I'm like I have my thing that I use. And it's like if I know how to this vacuum, I like it. I push a fucking button, and that's it.
What comedian was the one that was like, "Hey, would you take a picture of us?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, where's the?" And he goes, "Oh, it's on the upper right, where it's been from the dawn of photography."
Right.
That's the upper right.
Yeah, I mean, but either way, I wanted nothing to do with it. It was right there. I walked into my house, and that was it.
There's a Christian meme right there.
Yeah.
It's like vacuum sitting
Right there.
here, one
wanted
right
nothing
here.
to do with it. At one point, I will. There's the Roadcaster is another thing that it's like there's a way to like I can't put songs when I do my live streams I have that Bob Dylan track that David B did. I have to pull it up through iTunes because I won't figure out how to use it on here. It's just I get stubborn sometimes. It's because like I said, I figured out how to use all this shit on my own without you showing me how to do it, and it's just a matter of not wanting to do it.
Well, yeah, and that's not something that's something that I'll spend a night doing just for fun.
Yeah,
Like
I don't have time.
I figured out the Stream Deck. I was at home. I don't even have a Stream Deck. I was looking up Stream Deck stuff. It's like
I just don't have time for that.
Yeah,
and it's the same thing. It's like so. Either way, like I said in the beginning of this episode, I get it. You're passionate about a movie, and I understand. And look, I hear that the movie's good. I do. I hear it's a really good movie, minus any political stuff that's attached and anything to it. And I get it. Well, it's not about political, it's about doing the right thing. And I think that the message behind it and what it's actually covering is the right thing. I'll tell you that too. But I want to see, I want to see it before I make any judgments. Before I see, is it a good movie? Is it not a good movie? I'm gonna have to check it out, but
I'll watch it with you.
I want to see
it.
I want to see the movie. It's one of those things. I've also gotten some people that I've heard like, oh yeah, if you cover that movie, what does that say about your politics? I don't give a fuck what it doesn't say anything about politics.
Well,
if
you truly want to have a political stance, you have to see both sides. If you're just reading your side, then you're not really informed.
I just want to see it as a movie.
Yeah,
I just want to watch it. It's the number 2 or number 3 movie. I'm not doing it because I want to see it because it was because it's in. I want to see Insidious.
Yeah,
Red Door. When a movie hits in the top 3-4 charts, like, oh shit, I'm interested in it. But like I said, I've checked. I looked at my email the other day. I was like, oh, maybe they sent me a fucking screening and I missed it. I never sent one. Which was interesting. I think they'd want to send it to a lot of different people. But I'm sure there's going to be tons. I hate that movies have gotten into this though. It's not just this movie. This movie is way more on the political side, obviously. But there is. Back even in like 2016, 2017, everything has just become so much more like my team versus your team, and it's just a whole thing. It's exhausting.
But we can all agree on UFOs.
I don't think we can. I think we should. It's amazing. Like I really feel like after you watch like the first 3-4 episodes and you see how many times people are like, yeah, when you bring this stuff up, people just look at you weird. And I felt that even talking about it so far. Like I felt it like because people are like, oh yeah, UFOs. Like even with you and like Katie, when I was talking to you guys about it, you're like, oh okay. But when you really and it's like this weird thing when you don't know the amount of like, it's one thing. I was saying this the other day. If like 3 people see it, are they drunk?
Yeah.
When 50 people all see something. And it's kind of pushed to the side and buried. And they're just normal people going to their jobs, doing their thing. They see these interviews with these people. And there was this one woman who was just like, look, I wouldn't have said anything because I didn't want people to think I was fucking crazy. But I knew a ton of other people saw it. So that's why I'm talking about it.
And I think that it's the spokespeople for these things that are always shown are like, and then I took me up on a ship and they shoved a probe up my ass, and then it's like it's
Right.
like back
Taboo.
when we were trying to get marijuana legalized. They always showed this guy on the news. Yeah, man, and you gotta get it, and it's like, you're not helping the cause,
Right.
bro.
You're
not
right.
helping the
You're
cause.
adding to the stereotype
There are
of it.
cancer patients that need this. Let's interview them and not. Nah, it's the government.
Right, because they're adding the stereotype of like, show
Yeah.
this guy because it'll prove our point.
And this has been parodied so much.
Yes.
The person that believes in it has been parodied and
Right.
mocked for so long that it is hard
But
to
it was
come
that
out.
New York Times thing that changed it, man. The
Yeah.
New York Times thing started to change it and push us where we are now. And pilots like Ryan Graves and people like that who like saw it. You see this footage and he's like, "What the hell is that?" The thing goes like this, but I go, and it's like, it's crazy. It's crazy. And like the O'Hare incident is the one that made me go, "Wow." Wow. So we'll talk about it more, Riley. But for today's episode, that was it. It's me and Brett Sheridan. Very curious of what you guys think. Like I said, if you're able to help out the show and you can get yourself some of those AG1s, do it. The link is not only in the description. I usually pin it as the first comment. It does help the show tremendously. If you're ever like, well, I really like this show. How do I help? You guys don't do super chats. You don't do that. I'm telling you, get AG1. That helps. They go, wow, a lot of people transfer over. And we're not one of these shows like I love Theo Vaughn. Theo Vaughn's doing so great and everything. Burt Kreischer, they've got, and my buddy Andrew Santino, they're doing thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of views, right? We're going to get there, but we're not there yet. But what we do have is conversion rate. What the hell is conversion rate? It's people going, hey, we want to help this show out. We want to check out these sponsors. This one sounds interesting to me, so I'm going to get it. And then they keep coming back. That's what helps the show. That's what helps the show grow. That's what helps us do more and more stuff like we've been doing. So please, if you can, please do it. Thank you to Brett Sheridan. Thank you to you guys. We'll see you on the flip side. Peace out.